President Trump vowing there will be voter ID for the midterm elections, with or without Congress's approval. The president honoring troops at Fort Bragg today, touting American military might. We're joined now in studio by NTD's Washington correspondent, Mari Otsu. Mari, it's great to have you back in studio. So with that said, what can you tell us about the president's latest statements today on election integrity?
Hey, Steve. Yeah, so this evening, President Trump took to Truth Social, and he's vowing that there will be voter ID for the midterm elections, whether it's approved of by Congress or not. And he's referring to the SAVE Act, which would require photo ID and proof of citizenship to vote. The House advanced this bill on Wednesday, but it's not expected to make it through the Senate. President Trump is also vowing to shortly issue an executive order laying out the legal reasons for national voter ID requirements. And a recent Pew poll shows that there's overwhelming bipartisan support for the SAVE Act, actually, with 71% of Democrats, 95% of Republicans, and 83% of Americans in agreement. But many Democratic politicians oppose it, which is an opposition that the White House has been condemning. Let's take a look at that.
We've changed the name. It's the Save America Act, and the Democrats are against it. I heard one of them say, we will stop the Save America Act. No, we're trying to save America. And it has to do with largely voting.
It's common sense to make sure that foreign nationals don't vote in our elections. They don't and should not be allowed to be trampling on the voice of the American people, and will no longer allow American citizens to be disenfranchised, to have their voices suppressed by criminals, by hostile foreign actors, and by illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in this country.
President Trump's latest push for election integrity comes amid heightened scrutiny over the 2020 elections. Just last month in Davos, President Trump said that people will soon be prosecuted for their role in the 2020 elections.
And Mari, with regard to foreign affairs in this hemisphere, the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, just coming back from Venezuela there with some fruitful discussions, talking about oil and deals and how the United States is going to help leverage that. What is the latest from the administration when it comes to Venezuela?
Sure. So on his way out of the White House to Fort Bragg this morning, President Trump told reporters that he is going to visit Venezuela at an unspecified date sometime in the future, but he's also touting the relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela and the interim president there, Delcy Rodriguez. And this is also as the U.S. Treasury Department announces oil companies with a general license to operate in Venezuela, and that includes Shell, BP, and Chevron. Let's take a look.
We have our big oil companies going in. They're going to be taking out the oil and selling the oil for a lot of money and for oil by other nations. And we're taking care of it. We're refining it. And we're the only one that has the capability to refine it.
The U.S. announcing it will allow limited oil deals with certain Venezuelan entities, but only with U.S.-governed contracts, payments routed through U.S.-controlled funds, and no involvement from China, Russia, or Iran. With some of the world's largest oil reserves, Venezuela long supplied heavily discounted crude to the Chinese regime, helping Beijing meet its energy needs while allowing Caracas to bypass U.S. sanctions. Energy Secretary Chris Wright vows that era is ending as he pushes instead for transparent market rate deals that will benefit the Venezuelan people and the Western Hemisphere.
We need to get our adversaries, particularly their nefarious activities, out of our hemisphere. The influence of China and Russia and Iran that has been very large in Venezuela will become very small.
This comes as President Trump honors the special forces that took part in Operation Absolute Resolve, touting American weapons and military might.
The Russian equipment didn't work. The Chinese equipment didn't work. Everyone's trying to figure out why it didn't work. Someday you're going to find out. And perhaps most importantly, we are feared by the enemies all over the globe. They fear us. And,
he adds that fear is sometimes the only way to, quote, get the situation taken care of, turning his attention to Iran.
We have a situation right now where we sent a very big carrier group to Iran. I'd love to see if we could make a deal. They've been difficult to make a deal.
For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk. We don't want any enrichment. We don't want enrichment.
And meanwhile, today the White House is also touting the newly released CPI report that shows that annual inflation cooled to 2.4% last month. That's down more than 0.5% from the same time last year. And core inflation is now reportedly at its lowest rate in 5 years.
Certainly a lot of stuff happening. It will be a remarkable moment if President Trump does indeed visit Venezuela. Just thinking a short month ago what took place. NTD's Mari Otsu, thanks so much.